Good evening, everyone. Happy Sunday night. I'm Judge James.
I'm Judge Evie. I got multiple.
Go ahead.
I got multiple comments. Yeah, you drink your drink. I got multiple comments saying that my heyo was ear piercing to headphone users. So I'm gonna keep heyoing just for all of you guys out there.
Great. Just aggravate the heck out of our fan base so they
yeah.
won't want to watch the show. My shirt is doing something weird. Look at that.
I'm gonna love to watch this show.
I'm trying to represent this week. And for Charlotte and Rob Ergang, who got me this awesome Dark Sun, Dark Harder shirt with my face on it. I thought I'd wear it today.
Oh, you're saying that's your face? Oh, I couldn't tell.
Who'd you think it was?
It was a joke.
Oh.
It's like, it's my face on the shirt.
It's so funny. It's the funniest. So look, it's your face from our cover picture.
What? Oh, ew.
I'm you.
No, it's so bad.
Greg's on. What's up, Greg?
In that picture. Ew.
All right. Well, tonight should be an interesting show. We've got a lot of games to talk about. If you are watching us on Twitch and you scroll down, you can see our Twitter feed. We had a picture I posted a little earlier about what games we'd be discussing tonight with our main topic of age appropriateness in tabletop RPGs. A very serious topic.
Oh, yes. So serious.
But also, if you're not looking at your Twitter feed, surprise.
Well, you should look at your Twitter feed.
That's tonight's show. All right, well, with that said, let's discuss all the gaming we did this week. Judge Evie, what gaming did you do this week?
Wait, let me think something.
Did you
I played Minecraft. In school.
You did not.
Yeah, I did.
That's not even gaming.
Yes, it is. I have to build this tiny house for my ATP project.
You built a tiny house in Minecraft?
Yeah, we had to make blueprints, and now I have to build it in Minecraft. And I was like one of the only people in the class. Well, I was the only people in the class who could make a working shower.
Okay.
Thank you. What gaming did you do?
Well, I did awesome gaming this week in that I played 3 rounds of X-Wing with Cooper.
Doesn't count.
And I also we started our Shadow of the Demon Lord campaign yesterday morning.
You said mine doesn't count, so yours doesn't count either.
Because it's Minecraft, doesn't count anymore.
That's not true.
That's so 2011.
That's so easy. What the heck? Well, no one in my class could figure it out, so I felt special.
Well, actually, the discussion of Shadow of the Demon Lord, to go over to that for a second here, you have a little sidebar chat about Minecraft over there, is where our topic came from tonight. So we started a Saturday, not we, but me and my other friends, started a Shadow of the Demon Lord campaign on Saturday mornings at 7 a.m. Like a
I
coffee.
woke up, I opened the door, and you're like, let's do some gaming. And I was like,
Coffee and the Demon Lord is what we're calling it, or Coffee of the Demon Lord. And we had a really good time setting things up on Monday with a session 0. And then on yesterday, we got up to play the game. And I got to say, gaming at 7 a.m. is pretty nice because it's super early and no one's going to bother you. And by 9:45, we were done the game. Judge Sean's on.
You spelled heyo wrong.
Nice. Just, again,
oh, thanks, Grace.
berating our friends. What platform? For Shadow of the Demon Lord, we are playing online on Zoom, actually. You said you spell it wrong. We were playing on Zoom, and this is how technical I get. When we're playing, if I want to hold a map up to the screen, I either screen share or I'll do this. I'll hold the picture up to the screen, and that's how we do map share. I know that there's other online map options with...
Wait, can I text how it's spelled?
No, just let it go.
No, I'm not. Let's go.
You're just going to type in how it goes?
Yeah.
It's the same thing he said.
No, it's not. He added a space.
Okay. But anyway, back to the topic of the show. Anyway, that's what triggered the conversation this week because I told Judge Evie she couldn't play Shadow of the Demon Lord.
You said I couldn't look through the book.
I didn't want you looking through the book.
Where's the book at?
It's away. Now it's gone.
What? It can't just disappear.
We're going to discuss that in a section.
Wait, can I check my stickers?
Yes.
Okay, guys. So I got new stickers for my computer, and you guys are gonna want to see. So I have. Wait. Oh wait, no, it's this way. No, it's this way. I have this Totoro one that I got at PAX this year. Not
It's a
PAX.
great sticker.
Wrong question. I got it Save Against Fear. And over here is a Duffy and Friends one that I got from my mom's bag of stickers. And then up here, oh wait, wrong one. I have a Visco sticker. It's my Vans sticker because I got Vans and it came with a sticker and I'm Visco.
For whatever that means.
What do you mean? I also have, this scrunchie. Here, you put your hand out.
We thought one thing we discussed today
Visco.
is about a week of sharing that we'd like to have, if possible. For those of you who watch, and it seems like we have a lot of the same folks who watch each week, we would really like to boost some of our followers. So we would love to see some more of our friends go out there and share with the world our Twitch channel and our YouTube channel. So that would be awesome. If you've been watching every week, we would really appreciate it.
Share it on MySpace.
One thing we're working towards, and maybe we'll discuss it next week, is some kind of giveaway.
We do those?
We're gonna. I haven't figured out how it's going to work yet, but we have quite a few of these maps of mastery from our good friend Chris West.
Oh, I'll do the modeling as I do.
I've been purchasing maps from for a while for our gaming, and we have some extra sets. So we thought that maybe these would be some of the giveaway items. So they're really cool. If you just go search mapsofmastery.com, you can see some of the detail in these things, and they're awesome for sci-fi gaming, for fantasy gaming, for post-apocalyptic gaming, that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to work in a way that we could, get some of these out to y'all as sort of a thank you for sharing our page and getting us some extra folks. So
you spelled scrunchy wrong.
Anyway.
You did.
So that's the goal, and maybe by next week we'll figure out how to do that. We're open to suggestions, though. So if you have any suggestions on how we can help spread our wings a bit and get some folks to come join the conversation, let us know. But giveaways will be something we're working towards.
Oh,
what
wait,
are you
no,
looking
I
for?
was going to put my computer back.
Okay.
But, I actually need it for the questions.
You do. Okay.
Yeah,
Lone Jedi 70 says Lone Jedi 70 says my New Year's resolution was to make the jump from YouTube over to Twitch for the show. Mission accomplished.
Yay!
Here we are. We do still stream on YouTube after. So
It's not streaming, though.
Whatever it is.
It's uploading the recorded video that was on
true.
Twitch. And you have to use the hand motions when you say that.
So before we get to the age appropriateness question, let's talk about Judge Evie Presides.
Here we go.
We have a question this week from Greg.
That's how you spell it.
A multi-part question
New stickers. Okay.
with your cool new stickers.
I know, right?
Here we go.
Now put them up on display. I feel like Karen.
And I agree with Judge Sean. We definitely prefer people to join live and chat with us. It makes for a more interesting show. All right, let's do this. This is from Greg Schwarzkopf. What do we got?
When you're designing a new monster or magic item in a DCC adventure, how do you decide which of the many weird dice to assign the abilities?
I'm going to just hold my new weird dice out. If you don't know what DCC weird dice are,
you're wrong.
I don't know about that, but some of the dice in Dungeon Crawl Classics are interesting. For instance, you have your D8s and your D6s.
Lame.
But you also have things like D7s, which is, I think, voted the most favorite die of most DCC players in some kind of survey Spellburn did.
All players.
And then
right?
D5s. D5s are funky.
I forwarded him this.
Oh, crud. You still have to get Judge Sean his dice tube.
I forwarded the email
Crud.
to you. You just didn't look at it.
It's a reminder thing. Forward to me again. Forward to me again.
Right now? Oh, we got it. Oh. just saying that we're lost.
You know what happened was our vacation happened. All right. Let's answer the question and we'll do it after.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
Why'd you put that away? There's a second part of that question. Remember?
I just know it.
Okay. Well, you give your answer first. I got my answer.
Okay. Well, my answer is
That's
your
like
answer.
the tube he's getting too.
Really?
I think so. I'm gonna give him that one.
Your tube was featured in the show.
There you go. All right, answer his question.
You should use like the weird ones because they're snazzier
He
than
knows.
the other ones.
We know. We know
Yeah.
he used the weird ones. We had that conversation, but
Exactly.
but when should you use them? Not he didn't ask should you use them. He asked when you should use them.
When you have an option between like I'm gonna use a normal D6 that you can get like any game store like ever, and then you're like, oh wait, no, I have my D7s. Let's use these. That was my answer.
I would suggest you use them for damage, especially for players
Oh yeah.
who aren't expecting it. So like the big bad swings a mace, and instead of doing D6 damage, you do D7.
The big bad swings.
And then the players that haven't played DCC before think you're joking, and then
You'd be like,
joke's on you.
Joke's on you.
You've
Sonny
got
boy.
a D7 shows up and hits you with it. So that's what I would say. Or maybe use it for a chart of random events, like if you could say like a random effect happens when said mace is swung by a demon, you could say you roll a d5 and you list out 5 effects. Maybe the first effect is when the target is hit, their eyes are filled with blood, or the second you roll a 2, the target's hit, like bees come out of their ears. I don't know. Just a fun chart. DCC is all about fun charts.
When you said 5, it made me think of the rhyme I used in kindergarten, how to learn how to write 5s.
Judge Sean uses them if I went to randomized target choice for the monsters. That's a perfect way to use them, especially if you have 7 players at your table or 5 players at your table. What?
I'm doing the 5 rhyme. Lying down, belly fat. Mr. 5 wears a hat. Because then it draws out a 5. That's what my kindergarten teacher taught me.
Nice.
Yeah. Because you said 5.
What was the second part of the question?
Okay, it said, yo, question. Between you and your siblings, which person got the best Christmas present? It was me. I got Visco scrunchies.
That was the best present?
Yes. Oh, wait, and...
Are scrunchies back in style?
Yes.
Just like Crocs?
No. Well, Crocs are in for Visco girls, but like, I'm not that level of Visco yet because I think they're the most ugly
I wear
things
Crocs.
in the world.
Is that okay?
I guess. It's fine. They're pretty ugly to me.
Yeah, Greg says, it sounds like dealer's choice if you invent a new creature. Absolutely. But even a regular creature, Greg, you could throw a D7 in there, like you're using orcs or goblins or something. You want to just upgrade their weapons or a bite attack or something. I just like announcing that you're using a weird die to the players.
I like announcing.
And so the scrunchies are the best gift.
Yeah.
We took you guys to Disney World, and we told you we're taking you to see Hamilton this year.
Oh yeah, scrunchies. No,
And
because I can
scrunchies.
wear the scrunchies. I wore a scrunchie every day
I guess
in
since
Disney.
this was the gift that was just to you.
Yeah, and I'm gonna wear a scrunchie to go see Hamilton. So.
Okay. All right. That was the only question this week, right?
What? Yeah, I think so.
Just remember, if you have questions for us, like us to read, or I'm sorry, Judge Evie to read on the show, you can send them to DCC
in the
Judge
voice.
Evie.
In the voice.
DCCJudgeEvie@gmail.com. Time for us to discuss age appropriateness in tabletop RPGs. We'll get to it eventually.
Eventually is not soon enough.
Let's discuss why we're having this conversation.
Because I'm an adult and I wanted to be like, I'm gonna go look this at the yard, and you're like, no.
That's not why we're having this conversation.
That's our conversation.
No, we're having the conversation. We want to discuss with our audience, like, our thoughts on age appropriateness in games, because
this is us sitting at the dining room
not every game is age appropriate for kids.
Well, how we discussed what we're doing tonight was we sat down at your table, you like pick a topic, and you're like, and I'm like, no, I don't know a topic, and you're like, well, you gotta pick a topic, and I was like, well, I'm gonna pick a weird topic, and you're like, well, let's do this, and I was like, well, I want to play Sad Demon Lord, and you're like, well, let's do a topic on that, and I was like, sure.
So what we just did tonight is we created a spectrum of games from what we would say is the most accessible game for young kids to the least accessible game for kids. I don't want to say young kids. I'd say kids, even players potentially, because what's accessible to younger players is accessible to adults who want easier rule systems. So essentially, the order we have here is from the most accessible to what we think is the least accessible in terms of rules and crunch. You know what crunch means?
Chomp chomp.
But what's crunch mean in gaming terms, Judge Evie? Judge Evie, what's crunch mean when it comes to gaming terms?
The gore.
It means the rules, the level of rules.
That's
So
lame.
when you have lots of charts and tables and lots of things to memorize, it's crunch.
Why use crunch?
That's what people use. I don't know. Why
Wait,
say
I've
Visco?
never heard
Why say
anybody-
Visco girl?
Because it's an app and the girls of this
Great.
originated on it. Wait, I've
Because
never
someone
heard
came up with
anyone
it.
say crunch.
Well, you don't know. Look at that. See? Savage Philly GM. Rob says fiber. And Sean says dead PC is crunch.
See, they agree with me. Not your weird.
Along the journey of most accessible to least accessible, we thought we would note those games that maybe aren't age appropriate for a reason of mature content. And that could be anything from gore and violence to other mature topics we won't be discussing in long-term depth in this show, but you kind of get the drift that there's some things in some games. And actually, since these are all games we own, really a lot of the stuff that's really, some consider really borderline, mature, that's really not in any of the pile that we have here. But
Where's Shadow of the
violence
Flame
and
Princess?
horror are definitely in there. What was
Where's
that?
that at?
Which-
Where's Shadow of the Flame Princess?
Oh, you mean Lamentation of the Flame Princess?
Yeah, that's what
I've
I
gotten
said.
rid of all those copies.
Why?
They're gone.
Why?
Long story about controversies we don't need to discuss on camera.
Oh.
All right, so
Well, you never let me read that one.
Lamentation of the Flame Princess is gone. All right, so with that said, let's start with the least crunchy, most accessible game that's in print as of right now.
This is the right one.
That is the right one.
Okay. No crunch.
And well, I don't say it's no crunch; it's just low crunch
Low crunch.
and easily acceptable. Let's get it out there. Oh, sorry. This is No Thank You Evil by Monty Cook Games, a game designed for ages 5 and up, I think. What's it say on the top? Ages 5 to infinity.
Yeah, get it right.
It's not like 5 to 100 where 101-year-olds can't play. So, Judge Evie, tell us about this game. We've discussed it before. This was the first game you ever GM'd.
Yes, it is. I sat in my bed while you went to go see a movie with Mommy. You came home and I was like, I read the rules. Like, did you read all the rules? And I was like, yeah, I did. And you were like, oh my god. Remember that?
Is that exactly how that conversation went?
Yes.
Okay. I don't remember that conversation, but all right.
Yeah, it was when I was in my bunk bed and I was like, let me sit and read this the whole afternoon. And you're like, I came home from the movie.
So No Thank You Evil happens to be a game about storybook characters in a storybook land of
Storia!
And this game takes place under your bed, in your closet, out the window, all kinds of crazy places. And the adventures
Behind the
are
bookshelf.
fun and lighthearted and can be just plain old silly. Essentially, you read any fun storybooks, this could be for you and your kids. You could recreate anything from a Berenstein Bears story to
The Goldilocks.
my favorite story from your kids was G is for one Gazonk. Was always my favorite.
I remember that.
I know, I used to read it to you. So this is a great game for young players. This is super accessible. The rules are so simple. They're D6 based. Essentially, you say what the target number is from 1 through 6, and you have to roll that number, and you can negotiate the number down based on some easy mechanics, spending points and stuff. So it's a simplified, whittled down version of the Cypher system in many ways. And I would say this is if you had to say what is the most accessible and most age appropriate, this is the game.
Yes, it is.
But this game also, I would say, caps out in interest for players when they get a bit older, because storybook characters, there's nothing gritty about this. Even though the mechanics could be used, I think if you're ever playing a LARP or designing a LARP, the mechanics for this would work very well for gaming in a LARP setting. If you're going to translate this to something else, but mechanically, this game is kind of easy to understand, and there's not that difficult to master either. So we're going to take a step up here.
It can be like what you want it to be.
Right. I want you to grab, not those two. Underneath there a bit, there's the next level. Move those. Pick those up.
I'll move them.
Go till you get to the red book.
Ha!
Not that one. Not yet. That's not it.
What?
The red. Keep going.
You said these were in the right
Keep
stack.
going. I know, in the wrong order. There we go.
No.
So that was Judge Evie's game. And then I thought we talked about this for a bit. This is basic Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes, it is.
Which you played.
I did. When I was like 5, right?
Like 5, yeah. Mm-hmm. This is the game that I learned to role play off of. I think my friend Mike on Twitter had mentioned how he started with this in 1983. For me, it was 1992. And I played this for a short period of time. Look at that. Rob's saying that this was his first RPG. So this is a lot of folks' first RPG. And I would say this is like the next step up in accessibility. It's a very simple system in many ways. Not the most uniform. I mean, skills are percentage based. Attack rolls are D20 based. It's, I don't know, it's a... Yeah, Lex Mandrick is saying basic.
Heck yeah,
that's right.
Basic. You brought the heck yeah.
I missed the heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
So I think that this is a great game for players who are you're trying to take from the most from No Thank You Evil, if you will, but those young players who have them at your table and try something out that's easy to learn. But this is a tough one to find, and there is a version of this or a game very similar. That's the next one down. Over there, I would say fills that niche. Ooh. And we've played a bit of this.
Trying to get me to learn this one.
It's actually your book.
Oh, huh.
This is Basic Fantasy RPG, which is probably the most accessible game after. Oh, it comes to money of all time. This game is like $5 on Amazon. Yeah, it's really cheap. Oh. Or it's free if you go to basicfantasy.org. You can keep it in your lap, but don't bring that one up yet, okay? I see the shadow demon down there. Thanks.
Oh, wait.
So Basic Fantasy RPG is what was the book? Basic Fantasy RPG is everything that Basic D&D was. However, it was.
Ew. Close to my finger.
Some of it's streamlined. But it's mostly the old rules, but in a package. It doesn't require you to go online and go download a PDF of like one of the old games. I think you can go and get some of the basic D&D stuff online off of DriveThruRPG now, though. So let's shift into. I don't want this one next, but that's next after these.
Oh.
Let's shift into games.
Have you guys ever heard of this before? Because I haven't. Oh, what about this? Never. Who's? What? I never heard of her before.
We would say Dungeon Crawl Classics and Mutant Crawl Classics is the next step up the accessibility chart in terms of rules and learning the games.
I mean, I think you're ready to play this like when you're born, but
Hey, look at that! Irregardless is on, which is going to either be Rob or Charlotte.
This is very painful. Can you take one of these? I'll take my copy because this is precious to me. But like.
So both of these, Char, look at that. Welcome to the show, Char. But both of these games are very accessible with regards to the rules. They're easy to learn. They're D20 based. Yes, they have the weird dice, but as the fact that a Judge Evie 11 was GMing this, I think it's proof that younger players can play this game. And it maybe the charts and the tables might not, and that kind of mastery might not come until later. As for young players, this does work. Age appropriateness is a question though with these games, don't you think?
Oh, it's so age appropriate. Again, time you're born, it's like
it depends. It depends. I think it depends.
What's not to love? Now,
there's a lot to love, but loving stuff in the game doesn't make it age appropriate. So if
look, he's so age appropriate.
You're concerned about certain monsters or games with, I don't know, demons and stuff, or gore. There's some gore in here. You know what's not age appropriate?
I have something to show you.
What are you going to show?
No, look, this guy right here, he's like, yo, bro, it's so age appropriate. And he's like, I'm going to stick my snake tongue out and be like, yeah, it is. It's so age appropriate.
You know what's questionable in age appropriateness for young players is the critical hit charts are questionable. I will say that. You don't think so?
Yeah, they're very age appropriate for like 2-year-olds.
You think the critical hit charts are age appropriate for 2-year-olds?
Yes. By the time you're born, you should learn that sometimes in DCC your head's gonna get like chopped off or something, but that's normal. You gotta learn to roll with the flow.
Well, if you're playing with very young players, they may not want to have their head chopped off in a game like that. So I would say that, this depends on the GM running the game. And I would say, Shar is saying, what's not to love about having Evie murder you horribly?
Even when I ran No Thank You Evil, I had them in pits
Rob
of
makes
acid.
a good point. It's not Vampire Call of Cthulhu, neither of which are listed on my chart or our chart because we don't play those. And any version of Warhammer Universe is PG-13 at least, says Greg, which is definitely true. So we'll say that these are low on the accessibility chart with regards to rules and rules bloat, but that's not yet. Yes, it is yet, actually.
Oh my gosh, okay, so let's find a great...
So let's not open the book. I don't want to have showing content from this online and having someone slap this with, any kind of thing, because there's this book which has some mature topics in it. And I've got a younger person sitting next to me.
I'm not young, I'm an adult.
This is the new game I've been playing. Not new, it's been out since 2015. Or 16. This is Shadow the Demon Lord, which a friend of mine and Glowburn co-host, what's his name? Mark Plord. Why am I freezing a Mark here? Mark called the hybrid of Dragon Age and DCC RPG had a baby together. This would be the game. So Shadow the Demon Lord.
See, the 2-year-olds come back into play.
Is a very accessible game rules wise because it's a very easy rule system. You're always rolling a d20, and you may have a couple of minor modifiers to it, and you're trying to beat a 10. And depending on how hard it is, you are either adding or subtracting multiple d6s. You pick the highest of how many you roll. They're called boons and banes from your roll. So it's very, very simple to learn. The leveling system is very easy. A lot of the character generation stuff is very random. However, the themes in Shadow the Demon Lord are very graphic and adult. Lots of mention of hell and afterlife stuff. Lots of mature themes, very violent themes in this game. Very terrible things happen to your characters. It's a game where you're playing in a fantasy role-playing game setting that's at the end of the world of this fantasy game. I've been playing this now for, one session. I've read through several of the books for it, cover to cover. This is a really great game. It's with a lot of conversation. This is not a game Judge Evie will be playing anytime soon.
You put it in the same category as DCC.
No, listen. I put it in the same category. We're going from easy rules to hard rules, and this is a very easy game to learn because I learned it in a couple days. But it's not a game for younger players, and
Did you say someone recommended it though for me?
Someone said, people say get Judge Evie to play it,
or run it. So
Judge Evie won't be running this.
It says who? Just put a page of the pages you don't want me to see. Okay.
Lex says they don't learn about dismemberment or at the table. They're going to learn it on the streets.
What?
So anyway, there is a chance Judge Evie will get to play this, but I'll be running the game. That's for darn sure. Mr. Walls, let me play it. I can't believe your friend's named Mr. Walls. That's terrible.
It's just crazy.
So maybe at some point there will be more of a neutral fantasy setting for this. But
she's not older than me.
But I'm definitely, this system is easy and very accessible. The material inside is not accessible and not
It's very accessible. It's right here. My hands are right here.
Young players.
Accessible.
This would be rated M for mature.
Or M for must make Evie read.
Rob, Savage Philly GM, said Dragon Age is a bit dark. So give me the next two books here, which you have no understanding of either of these. So give me that one first. Speaking of games that are Dragon Age, here's Dragon Age. Look at that. You haven't played this, have you?
No, I don't think I have.
I played this once. We almost ran a campaign of this a year and a half ago. So Dragon Age is also a dark, mature game that is an easy system to learn. It's 3d6 base instead of d20. It is by Green Ronin Games and Chris Pramus. If you've watched the role-playing game version of this on tabletop with Will Wheaton, this was the game that they played. What are you doing?
I'm letting you talk, and I'll do my TikTok dances over here.
Okay. We're putting this on the chart of accessible games, but not an age-appropriate game because there are some mature topics in here as well. And one of them is if young players want to play the video games to get experience with this, there's a lot of mature stuff that happens in the video games. So a good alternative. No, not yet. A good alternative would be Fantasy Age, which is the same mechanics but streamlined down, and it is it's a good game. Solid game. I what?
You went. I don't know. It's a good game.
It is a good game. I mean, I can't think bad about it. I haven't played much of it, but it's a good game. It's good. I mean, the only thing is I wouldn't play this over DCC, I don't think, or Shadow the Demon Lord, but only because I don't know. It's a good game.
You keep talking about how Shadow the Demon Lord has stuff redeeming qualities over DCC, and you won't let me read it.
It does. There's some things I like about Shadow the Demon Lord more than DCC.
Unspoken.
And I definitely, when I read through that, had all the awesome feels. This is a great game I didn't get from D&D 5th Edition, which we might be discussing here in a moment. Before we get to D&D 5th Edition, though...
Where's John when you need him?
Let's discuss a game that's also incredibly accessible. Judge Evie, let's start with this one. Well, that's not yet. Give us your spiel on the accessibility of this awesome game right here.
Well, it's very accessible, as it is in my hands
well, what is it? Tell them what it is.
Oh, this is Savage Worlds.
Why did you look at the cover? You know what game it is from, because you know what game it is.
I don't know. I'm just probably looking at it, seeing if it's anything special. I don't know. I know what the cover looked like, because I always play ETU.
All right.
Yeah.
So tell our viewers a bit about the game and why it's an easy game to learn or an easier game to learn than other games.
Well, it's simple because wait, okay. Ow.
I'm having a hard time. I'll hold it.
What? No, I need to cover my face. So it's simple because
Sia?
No, she goes like this.
All right. Good. Do the Sia review of the game.
Okay, so basically, this, I don't know, how do I describe, okay, wait, I'm going to describe this. So,
it's a game you've played a ton of, so I'm letting you describe it.
Yeah.
Rob is saying great things. He says it's easy to learn.
Yeah,
as a GM, he likes that he can remember almost all the rules, and it's less time looking things up, make the game better. Another book's on your head.
It's my hat. Look. It's so easy. I don't even have to look at the rules to know they're just on my head. They're in my knowledge right now.
I think Rob made great points. We've discussed Savage Worlds before in the show. It is an easy game to learn. The dice mechanic is simple. It's just a dice step process from a D4 to a D12.
Yeah, it is that.
And there are, as Greg just mentioned, a ton of great settings. But the great settings is what makes this a game that can be accessible to all ages and appropriate for all ages. But not every one of the settings are. So we picked two settings to talk about. One we believe is very age appropriate for pretty much any young player down to age 11 or 12, and one really isn't. So,
man, I was being a princess.
East Texas University.
This is my favorite one.
Why?
Because you can be like cool teenager people, and it's like, I'm a cheerleader, I'm a drama kid, I'm a football dude, I'm a nerd, I'm my mom, and I like having little dogs wherever I go. And having pets. Like, you can just do stuff like that.
It's, as Rob says, it's Buffy at college. Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Is that a show? It is a show, right?
It's a show. Yeah, it is.
Isn't it like a vampire show?
It's Buffy the Vampire Slayer. What do you think?
Did she kill the vampires?
She killed vampires.
No.
Oh.
Vampires, I love vampires.
Well, so does she, I think, on some of the vampires, but she also kills some of them. What would not be a very good setting for young players?
What's this called? Let's read the cover.
Yeah, just turn it
Read War 1 Player's Guide.
Weird War 1.
Savage Worlds.
Weird War. So just as an example, that this is one of the settings that, depending on how you want to roleplay a grim World War I front, or Weird War II, or Weird War Rome, some of these games that have a bit more of the horror elements might not be as accessible or appropriate. It's more appropriate and accessible for young players. I think it's important to note that any of these games that I have Savage World sort of in the middle of the rules bloat, rules crunch. Bloat's not the right word. Crunch is the right word. The rules crunchiness level. I sort of have Fantasy Age, Dungeon Crawl Classic, Shadow the Demon Lord, and Savage Worlds all about equal. with how challenging the rules are to learn and master. So I think if you can learn one of those, you can learn any of them. If we played more Savage Worlds in the house or when you were younger, I think that you played a lot of it, but I think you'd have an easier time to GM I think you could GM this.
Yeah, probably.
Not this, but ETU you could. So we're stepping up now into More Crunch.
Why does it still exist in our house?
And the first book we're going to talk about with regards to More Crunch is something called...
No, I hide this on, like, your bed all the time.
This is the one copy we have left.
It was your birthday last year, and, you know, instead of actually getting you something, I just found this in my room and I rewrapped it.
This is, of course, D&D 5th edition.
Good, I spat.
And that's all we have to say about that, really. I mean,
yeah, put it down. Just put it down. Next up.
It's another one of those games, I will say, with regards to age appropriateness. A lot of young players out there, 13 and up. That's great.
Is Gracie yaying the 5e?
She is.
Oh my gosh.
Your mileage may vary on the campaigns, how appropriate they are for kids, and how mature they are. Some settings, if you're using some of the pre-published settings, like Ravenloft, might be for more mature players. Someone likes 5e, yeah.
Okay, you guys can have your opinions, and we have ours. So, you know, we're not biased or anything.
We're somewhat
Gracie,
biased.
what has John corrupted your brain with? About a week ago, Gracie's like, I don't like 5e. It's been a week of them FaceTiming. It's like, oh my god, 5e.
If you like our opinions on 5th edition, there is a whole backlog of stuff that we've chatted about with 5e.
It went from, let's try this out, to
we did try
let's
it.
not try it.
We did try it.
We
And
tried it out.
And like when you tried Escargot, aren't you happy you tried it?
It was an experience.
There we go. I would say D&D 5th edition is like it was pretty squarely in the middle. And in the same level of challenging games, I think we have, stepping up a bit, is this next game.
Cypher System!
So, Numenera, The Strange.
This, but I know I have.
Yes, you have. Numenera and The Strange.
Oh.
It's the same engine. It's the same game system.
Wow, I knew that.
Cypher System and Monte Cook Games is as I just said, it's what powers Numenera, powers The Strange. It is a relatively simple game mechanic to learn. A lot of optional rules to use. A lot of, like, they're not called classes, they're called types. And they're not called, and you have these, every character is built with a sentence, so you could be a weird jack who entertains. You could be a tough warrior who fights with 2 weapons or something like that. This is a game that is pretty easy to learn, kind of challenging to master, I feel. I think as a GM, it is not too hard to learn and to pick up. However, I do think there's a good bit of crunch in this game and the amount of materials can be a little bit intimidating rule-wise. The books are packed full of information. Setting-wise, you do have some settings. What are you typing at? Oh, I gotcha. You do some settings that are more mature than others. I think Numenera has quite a bit of mature content in it.
Does?
I think it does. There can be some...
I mean, we did play as Disney princesses. So
you did, and not everyone does, though. Some of the ciphers can do some terrible things to people. But some of the cipher system settings are more, rated M for mature than others. So one that's really... Gracie is saying, Evie, you're playing 5e in 2 weeks. You are playing 5e in 2 weeks.
Yeah. But
let's look at one of the more accessible settings for Cypher System, and that would be Predation, which is a post-apocalyptic, past-apocalyptic game that has to do with dinosaurs. What?
Sorry, I have a lot of songs stuck in my head.
This would be a great game, a very, very great game to play as for younger players. However, on the other side of this, you have a game where all the gods are dead, and it's a dark, grim fantasy
gods are
setting.
Dead. Now it's your turn.
Gods of the Fall.
Straight to the point.
Where you play as gods. Awesome game. A lot of mature themes in here.
I played this, right?
We did. We played it on Thanksgiving for Thanksgiving, where you had to kill a guy, turning people into turkeys. It wasn't that serious.
That. We both pop up.
What? Papa wasn't there.
Wait, which was the game that we played?
That was.
We kept drawing our heads in like
That was
pickle
different.
jars.
So Gods of the Fall is a setting for Cypher System that is definitely more mature, a lot of fun, but in the same respect, there's a lot of content in here that folks might not want to be playing around with young players.
What the heck? What did he link?
He's linking the Toon cartoon. So Rob linked the Toon cartoon role playing game, which I never played.
Why is this
All
over
right,
here?
we now have two
rules?
games we're going to discuss briefly that
Not
we feel
matureness, just the rules
are
part.
on. Well, one is I think these are upper echelon games with regards to rules and rules crunch.
Well,
personally,
this isn't like you don't do that. You don't have to be like, mature for this one though.
no, but this is a game. Edge of the Empire, Age of Rebellion. These Star Wars games I think are fairly crunchy games. So
Crunch.
I think that younger GMs can have a challenge running these games. I think mature GMs like myself have a hard time running these games. As Rob says, all Fantasy Flight can be daunting in terms of rules. I totally agree. I think that these games I was a bit surprised after reading the Quick Start rules, which we've played. You were the Wookiee, Raur or whatever his name was. These games feel like maybe they're not that hard to learn from the starter set, but when you get into like obligation and the talent trees and how the ships work and all this that has to do with like the skills and stuff, I think it's a lot to master. I think it's very challenging to master. I think this is a game where you need to have all your players 100% committed to the game and describing what happens when you roll your dice. This is a game where there's no numbered dice. All the dice are, it describes you have, 2 successes with 3 setback. What's it called? You could have a Pyrrhic victory with your die roll. How do you describe that? This is a tough game. And it sounds like Rob agrees with Mr. Walls. Do you remember playing this? It was 3 years ago.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh.
This is a game
memory.
I've tagged to learning again to learning this year and trying again. I'm not sure when it's going to happen again. I've been kind of swearing my soul to the Demon Lord here. Who's calling you?
No, me. She always tries FaceTiming me.
In the same respect, there are games that have some mature content or maybe some mature themes, and maturity doesn't always have to do with the violence or whatnot. They can have to do with just that the topics are so hard to grasp mentally that even a 40-year-old man can't grasp them mentally. Hand over the last game on our list here. This is just one book from it.
Can anyone take any guesses?
No one's gonna have fun.
No,
doing
like in
this.
their mind, they're gonna have a guess, and then
Just
ready.
hold
They're gonna
it
see
up.
if they're
They're not gonna do it.
No, they're not gonna type them in their mind. They're gonna have a guess, and I'm gonna tell if you're right or not in 3,
right.
2, 1. You were probably wrong.
Flip it around because you can't see the cut.
Oh.
Invisible Sun, The Black Cube, the game that I tried learning last year, and it made my ears bleed. So Invisible Sun is a reality, surreal. It's just one game from all the games, all the boxes and books and stuff in there.
I thought it was just one of the rule books.
This is just one rule book, yeah.
Yeah, it's not that thick. Wait,
In this game, you play someone who's not someone anymore. You could play someone who your head is a book.
Ooh,
You could play someone who's on a quest to find a number between 1 and ennui.
There's lots of words.
It's a bizarre game. I wanted to learn it.
Deadlands.
It's really challenging.
Didn't
So
you
I
read
think this is a game that the rules are tough. It's a lot to learn, and mostly because there's so much that's going on in the game. What happens in the game, like when you cast a spell, it depends on what sooth cards on the table is how the spell works, I think, or what it does, and your adventures are very bizarre. I think this game is mechanically very challenging. There are like 4 rule books just to get the basics down, and I think the other issue with this game is that it's not a simple. I don't know. I'm hard explaining what this game is because I still don't understand what this game is. Greg says Monty Cook Philosopher. Pretty accurate there. I will say there are some great live streams of this. Go check them out to see what the game's about. I'm gonna be overthinking it, but I couldn't learn it. I really tried. Troy's saying I would love to get in a game with Monty Cook and Company, but as far as me taking this on, I don't think so. Sorry, MCG. I gave it my all. We had a little bit of a study group with it.
You did?
I listened to the podcast about it. Yeah, I did. Me, your mom, some other folks were in it. You know.
Did anyone succeed in the group?
No, it was me. Yeah, we didn't. I mean, I bailed. I kind of burned out in reading through them. It's another game. I have 3 games I wanted to learn this year. This one, I wanted to get back into Edge of the Empire, and I wanted to jump into Shadow of the Demon Lord, and Demon Lord won. Because Demon Lord. And it's a lot easier to learn. So, and this is a game I'd let you try to learn, but I don't know. It's a lot. What's that look for?
What look?
Alright. So anyway. From No Thank You Evil to Invisible Sun.
Starting with MCG, ending with MCG. Wow.
There you go.
The chair is clear.
Yeah. So anyway, there are some comments in here I want to read or go through. Rob mentions about Edge of the Empire. I ran Edge of the Empire 3 times. The dice system is hard to keep track of. Very, very true.
Mr. Well, oh my god.
And Troy said about Edge of the Empire, great game once you learn to read the bones. You know who understood the dice back then was Cooper. He was 5 and he understood. No, he was 6 and he understood the dice mechanics.
Where are you reading at?
All right. Grace says, Mr. Walls, can we play the fairy tale game so I can play a princess and the pet dragon? Yes, you can. Judge Eve be happy to run the storybook game for you whenever you want.
Which one?
The fairy tale one. No Thank You Evil.
Oh, I can find enough for you guys. What you talking about?
I guess.
Oh, I can
Rob says there are some companies
anywhere.
that are more on the crunch side than others. That's true. Pathfinder. That's a game that just doubles down the crunch. I've never played it. I've played 3rd edition and 3.5. You haven't. You played D&D 4th edition when you were 4 years old, though.
4 or 5?
You just turned 5. I think you just... Yeah.
My 5th birthday, my 50th and Ferb, though. Remember that?
Yep.
Yeah. And I walked on this plate and it said...
That was a game with a lot of crunch. Kinda. I thought it was still easier to play than 3rd edition, though. So that's our. If you agree or disagree with us, let us know. Let us know now or in the comments. Greg's in a Pathfinder game now. Sorry. Rob says Modifius can be a bit complex, but their games are rewarding. I've played in games that are complex and rewarding. I've played Mouse Guard.
Modifius.
And that was fun, but complex but rewarding. I still can't understand. That's the thing I can't understand is anything that has to do with that burning wheel system. That makes my eyes bleed. I think Burning Wheel and Invisible Sun are the only 2 games I can't understand whatsoever.
Are you good?
What?
Your eyes were bleeding and your ears were bleeding?
Yeah, I'm just bleeding out of blah. It's like someone cast hateful defecation on me. So if you're watching this on YouTube, though, feel free to leave comments below about your thoughts on any of these games. If you thought we were accurate, if you thought we were way off in any of this. Really, when it comes to the GM, if the GM is an older or more mature GM, they can run any game and make the games appropriate for kids, for younger players, teens, young adults, whatever. If your games are, and I do want to say, it's not just kids that might have challenges with certain scenes of gore and violence and whatnot. We're playing in Shadow of the Demon Lord right now, but we had a really good conversation in the beginning of in our session 0 about the boundaries in the game, about whether we want to use some kind of X card process to say, look, this has gone too far. Let the GM know that they're uncomfortable with the scene. Especially if something's happening in a game that may have happened to someone in real life in some way. We don't want to be, hitting any of those trigger points that make them uncomfortable. So that's a big important part about horror gaming, that especially with folks that have that may have some things they're uncomfortable about, is it's fun to push the envelope, but if a player's not comfortable with your game, it doesn't matter if they're 13 or 31 or 61. If they're not comfortable,
or 101.
Or 101, they're not going to have a good time. So, Rob says here, and it's a great point, I always talk to my players about campaign content and what people are and are not comfortable with. I know I've gotten, not into trouble, but I've been a couple players squirm with Numenera a few times and some weird stuff I've introduced, and I have no problem stopping for a minute and asking the players if they want me to tone things back or to pull away from something, and I think any good GM should have that mindset. I understand that GMs are there to have a good time too, but the GM does hold some power, and we have to make sure we deserve the respect. Which means being careful for our players and not TPKing the parties all the time.
I don't do that all the time.
Especially since we don't like being TPK'd, do we? So anyway, on that note, we're going to wrap things up. It's kind of a long show here. Lex Mandrake is saying, oh, hey, where would you put Call of Cthulhu on the scale in terms of rules crunch? Don't know. I've never played Call of Cthulhu. I'm not a big fan of Lovecraft stuff or Lovecraft horror. So I don't know. I think it uses a similar mechanic to the old, what was it, the ElfQuest system, right? Or ElfQuest and RuneQuest were based off of, I think, right? Maybe. So I played ElfQuest back when I was younger. What? No Call of Cthulhu? No, I don't like Call of Cthulhu. I don't find elder gods and stuff scary. I don't know. I'm not interested in it. I don't really like the stories. I don't think that the Lovecraftian stuff has. I mean, occasionally Cthulhu stuff is fun, but the stories are kind of awkward and don't translate well to 21st century sensibilities in some ways. And the other thing is the whole concept is that people are small and there is no and don't have much power or something like that, and therefore they're weak or all that crap. And I don't know. I don't find it scary, and if I don't find it scary, I told my players this for Shadow the Demon Lord, like for instance, they were asked what's scariest monsters and stuff, and I think the scariest monster is people. I think humans are far scarier than anything else out there, any monsters, right? So, while I will have no problem introducing, insanity and madness into games, I've never played Call of Cthulhu. So I've had some Lovecraftian elements in games, if you will, but I've never run Call of Cthulhu straight out. I have run a little bit of Realms of Cthulhu stuff thrown into a steampunk game I did for Savage Worlds, I did a monster that was the color out of space. I threw that color monster into the game. That was interesting. So I've done some elements of that, but I've touched on it only. So I can't say if that D100 system, if it's the same as the old ElfQuest system, I would say it's probably on point with D&D, basic D&D, a shade below 5th edition because 5th edition has so much more splat and ElfQuest didn't have much splat.
Mention it again.
I have to. D&D 5e is like the baseline now, kid. All the cool kids play it. We're not cool.
No, all the people that don't know what they're doing, not playing DCC, play it. Hey, John.
Or Shadow the Demon Lord. If I play Demon Lord more, I guess you'll have to be Judge Evie and Demon Lord James.
Is that what you're called?
No, I'm just kidding. No, we're not. It's just Game Master. All right. Well, look, if you enjoyed the show, that's awesome. We appreciate it. Again, we're trying to get our week of sharing out. So if you're just joining us now, please share us with your friends and family and tell them we're here and we're talking about gaming stuff. And we'll be back next week again. Our Road Crew shout-outs this week. We hope this is a living shout-out, but Judge Sean is running at D6 Games in Rochester, Minnesota on Monday nights. He's off there running, Dungeon Crawl Classics. And then next week on Sunday at Red Cap's Corner in Philadelphia at 12 p.m., we will have our Savage Sunday, which starts at noon on January 12th. And that'll be a good game as well. I think I'm supposed to run Deadlands. And I'm not prepared for it.
Oopsies.
So we're going to wrap it up there. If you want to find us online, you can get us at I Live for Crits on Twitter, Living for Crits on Instagram, or you can find us our catalog on YouTube. Rob will be running Savage Star Wars. I left that out. I apologize. at Redcap's Corner. And now it's time to do the outro ASMR, which we attempt every week. And if you're new to the show, there's a couple new people. This is where we end our show with some gaming-related ASMR or not gaming-related ASMR. And I can always pull mine off, and Judge Evie can't ever pull hers off. And here we go. And I'm going to start with a little nod to my buddy Scott Woodard, who right now is spending time in like the coolest place ever at Batu in Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland. I'm going to say, Till the Spire. I can't even get it to your face and you're laughing. It's giggle time. Here we go. She keeps calling Mr. Walls. This is driving me crazy.
She's going to end up FaceTiming me after this and be like,
Jim.
Mr. Walls.
Jim. Come on. This is like 8 words. You should know what you're pulling this off.
Yeah, I will.
All right.
Okay. Adam Driver better win the Golden Globe tonight. Thank you and good night.
Good night, everybody.